At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Seth Reynolds as he introduces our keynote speaker.
Greg called me and asked me to introduce Coach. I've introduced him several times, but I don't think I've ever done this. You young guys, y'all probably haven't seen Coach before or heard him speak, but I want y'all to see the coach that I saw 24 years ago that gave me a chance to play college football. A little scarier in the helmet. Give him the shiver. Like Coach Nichols was saying, Coach Ayers came to Wofford and moved Wofford from NAIA to Division II, Division AA, which is now FCS football. During that time, he's taken the program into the Southern Conference. We've won several Southern Conference championships. He's been named Southern Conference Coach of the Year several times, as well as National Coach of the Year. He and his wife Julie have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. And that's all.
It's a pleasure to be here. When you're 66 years old, it's a pleasure to be in. For all you young guys, I coach at Wofford. I'm the head football coach. Last week we won against Samford, very tough football team down in Alabama. Our players did a great job of overcoming their coaching. So that's why we won that game. When we have a game that turns out on the other side of that coin, I'm a bad coach. I tell them it wasn't our players, it's our coaches. I love coming down to this place right here. I don't like golf, but it's a nice view. I've thought about bringing a bass rod and maybe trying to worm one of those ponds, see if I could pull one of those largemouth out. But this game of football has been, for me, a life changer. When I started out, I'm from a family of hillbillies, all right? Mother and father from Kentucky. I was born in Kentucky, raised in Kentucky, and eventually my dad, who started at 11 years old planting tobacco, he never even went to school, he just started working. Long story short, he had a job offered to park cars in Cincinnati. And so he took the whole family. I know what it is to live in a project. I know what it is to have to go and pay with food stamps. I know what it is to have a want that you want so bad, but because of a lack of money, it's not there. And so as a young age, I learned the difference between wants and needs. I learned that if you wanted something, then you had to be willing to work for it. If it was that important to you, you had to be willing to work for it. Long story short, got involved with athletics. First time I ever played organized football, I was a freshman in high school. Had a coach that, quite frankly, probably saved my life. And my son's named after. I was one of those guys. I've got 5 brothers. We were known as the Hillbilly Mafia back then. we were into all kinds of stuff. Nothing real serious, but, you know, always knucklehead. And by the grace of God, Tom Dowling, who was my coach, came into my life. And Coach Dowling kind of helped me through the process. I graduated, that was important to him. Doing the right things, that was important to him. Being a stand-up guy, that was important to him. Never lying, that was important to him. And never, ever fight on the field. I did everything Coach asked. But it was one of those things where the last game of my senior year, we had it against a rival. A guy had taken a cheap shot on my Brother Ray, and blood thicker than water. So I start scrapping. All of a sudden, I feel my feet doing this in midair. And Coach Dowling had snatched me up by the back of my pads, and he ran me to the sideline and threw me on the bench. He said, "You don't move." "Yes, sir." Well, football was over, graduated from high school, Coach Dowling helped me get to East Kentucky University. Play as a freshman, win an OVC championship, play Ball State in the Grantland Rice Bowl, at that time was the national championship, and we won. Here I am, a guy, 3 square meals a day, first time I'd ever seen a real weight room with real weights, and getting to play as a freshman. I was loving life. Long story short, didn't do what I came there to do from an academic standpoint. Got one of those papers called an exclusion for a semester paper. I went to the head coach and I said, "Coach, what's this mean?" He said, "You're going to have to sit out a semester." I said, "Can I have a chance to come back?" Yeah, you can. 1968, I go back. The only job I could get, I was working on a garbage truck for my brother. 2 weeks after I got home, got a draft notice to come and take a physical. Federal building, Cincinnati, Ohio. Go down there, and of course, I passed the physical. And next thing you know, United States Marine Corps. Moral of the story is, first time that I stepped on those yellow footprints, I knew I wasn't in Kansas anymore. Do you get me? I had this psycho guy called a platoon sergeant, had that hat on, that smoky hat, and he got right up in my grill, and he says, "Well, I can't say it." But by the time that all of it worked out, I get out, I get off active duty, and the only job I can get, I'm a garbage man. I'm a garbage man for the next 2 years. I'm a garbage man that runs a route, picks up 6 days a week for $120 before taxes. A garbage man that when people saw me, they saw a hard worker. Mid-July, I'd have a pair of gym shoes on, no socks, because you'd ruin your socks. I had a jock strap and I had a pair of shorts on, and I was throwing G. I was known as a G-man. Anytime that I met a young lady that I thought was cute, "What do you do for work?" "Hey, I'm a G-man." "Oh, you with the federal government, huh?" Yeah. So, long story short, I'm doing just that job as hard as I can do it, and I've got no future. It got so bad that I ran out of money and had no food in the apartment that my brother and I stayed in. I called home and I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, have you got any extra food left?" My mom could make some serious fried chicken, milk gravy, and biscuits. She said, "We got some chicken and biscuits." I said, "Can I come over?" She said, "Yeah, come on over." I get there, and when I get there, as soon as I come in, I can smell that chicken. And I went in that kitchen, and before I could even grab a piece of chicken, she said, "Some coach called you." I said, "Who?" She said, "I don't know." I wrote a number down on that piece of sack paper. Well, back then, a number 2 pencil and a piece of sack paper was an answering machine. And so I called the number, and as soon as I heard his voice, I knew it was Coach Dowling. And I said, "Hey, Coach, what are you doing?" He asked me one question. "Hillbilly, do you still think you can play ball?" I said, Coach, just give me a chance. Just give me a shot. Moral of the story, go to a small school, Georgetown College, Georgetown, Kentucky. Finish an undergraduate, finish a master's degree, start coaching, and been doing it ever since. Wow! Difference maker, life changer. But here's the key that you need to understand. Not just for me, but for my 3 kids. Not just for them, but for my 4 grandchildren. I've been blessed to have some great guys in coaching that I've been able to coach. That guy right there, stand up, Seth. This is what we had to work with back then. Offensive tackle. Offensive tackle, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Cat could block anybody. Anybody. And so I started into this thing called coaching. And with coaching comes a lot of responsibility. With coaching comes this deal to where, gosh, I'm out there. You got a stadium full of people. And they're going to evaluate your performance, Coach. There's been many a day that people thought my IQ was 0 by the way that the game turned out. And then sometimes they think that you're genius. Man, he went for it on 4th down and they scored. They went on and won the game. But the moral of the story is real simple. It's a game, but it's a game when you're a part of it that's really, really important when you play it, when you do it. Anybody heard the name Kevin Elko?